Why Rhea Ripley initially hated husband Buddy Matthews. Rhea Ripley and Buddy Matthews may be one of wrestling's most talked about power couples today, but their love story didn't begin with sparks flying. In fact, things were quite the opposite when they first crossed paths. Both superstars had separate stints in WWE NXT before eventually moving up to the main roster, and though they worked under the same company umbrella, they didn't initially see each other as anything more than colleagues. Their early interactions were professional and relatively uneventful. While they occasionally crossed paths backstage or at events, there was no immediate romantic connection. But as time went on and they spent more time in each other's orbit, their working relationship slowly transformed into a deeper bond. Friendship gave way to something more personal, and by 2022, the two had officially started dating. Their relationship continued to grow stronger, eventually culminating in marriage in 2024. Recently, Ripley appeared on the Insight with Chris Van Vliet podcast, where she opened up about various aspects of her personal and professional life, including her now husband, Buddy Matthews. Interestingly, Matthews had also been a guest on the same podcast not long before Ripley's appearance. During his interview, the AEW star had spoken fondly of Ripley, calling her his favorite wrestler. Ripley was asked about that moment and responded with genuine warmth. She returned the compliment without hesitation, naming Matthews as her own favorite performer. She also reflected on the very first time she saw him wrestle back in their native Australia, and it clearly left a lasting impression. He moves so incredibly well for the size that he is, Ripley said. He's so smooth with everything, and he's so crisp, and just everything that he does is perfect. However, Ripley didn't always feel so positively about Matthews. In fact, she admitted she once couldn't stand him. Her first memory of him wasn't from a personal interaction, but from an in-ring moment that left a bad taste in her mouth. It turns out her initial dislike stemmed from seeing Matthews, then a rising talent in the Melbourne wrestling scene, deliver a punch to one of her favorite wrestlers. "I used to hate him," she revealed with a laugh. "I think he said this when he was on Insight. I hated him. I hated him with a passion because I loved Sway, which was a female wrestler, and he was from Melbourne. He came from the back, and he just punched Sway straight in the face. I was like, 'Sir, how dare you?' That moment stuck with her, and she carried that dislike for some time. But life, especially in the wrestling world, has a funny way of bringing people together. Despite her initial feelings, Ripley eventually got to know Matthews beyond the ring persona, and her opinion changed dramatically. The transition from bitter first impression to romantic relationship speaks volumes about the depth of their connection. Both Ripley and Matthews share a passion for wrestling, a deep respect for each other's talent, and a commitment to their respective careers. Even while now working in different companies, Ripley in WWE and Matthews in AEW. Yet, they continue to support each other publicly and privately. Their story is a reminder that first impressions aren't always accurate. What started with a punch to Ripley's favorite wrestler evolved into mutual admiration, partnership, and eventually a strong marriage. Through interviews like this, fans get a glimpse of the human side of two powerhouse performers who are often seen only through their on-screen personas. Whether in the ring or home, Rhea Ripley and Buddy Matthews show that respect, growth, and a little bit of humor can go a long way in building something lasting. Even if it starts with a grudge. Rhea Ripley set to face familiar rival in Saudi Arabia's showdown. WWE fans are in for a brutal encounter as former friends turn bitter enemies. Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez are set to clash at the upcoming Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. The two powerhouses will meet in a highly anticipated street fight, a stipulation that guarantees chaos, as anything goes and no disqualification rules apply. This match marks a major chapter in their ongoing rivalry, which has recently reignited in dramatic fashion on Monday Night Raw. Over the past few weeks, tensions between Ripley and Rodriguez have boiled over, with both women interfering in each other's matches and leaving a trail of destruction behind. The animosity between them isn't new. Fans who followed their early careers in WWE NXT will remember the intense chemistry and competition between Ripley and Rodriguez. They were once allies, even friends, but their paths diverged as they both sought dominance in the women's division. Their NXT battles were hard-hitting and intense, laying the groundwork for the fierce rivalry that now takes center stage on the main roster. The latest chapter unfolded on the most recent episode of Raw, where things took a violent turn. During Ripley's segment, Raquel Rodriguez made a surprise appearance alongside her cousin, Roxanne Perez. In a shocking moment, the two women double-teamed the women's world champion, driving her through a table and leaving her laid out in the ring. The crowd erupted, and the message was clear. Rodriguez is coming for Ripley's title, and she's bringing backup. This beatdown has only fueled Ripley's fury. Known as the Eradicator, Ripley thrives in high-stakes environments, and she's no stranger to violence. Her time with the Judgment Day faction has brought out a more ruthless and calculated side, making her one of the most dominant forces in WWE today. However, the street fight stipulation levels the playing field, allowing Rodriguez to unleash her own brand of punishment without restraint. For Raquel Rodriguez, this is more than just a title opportunity. It's personal. After being overshadowed and outnumbered by Ripley and her Judgment Day allies in recent months, she's now ready to turn the tables. The alliance with Roxanne Perez adds a new layer to the storyline, hinting that Rodriguez may not be fighting alone in Saudi Arabia. The match at Night of Champions promises to be a show stealer. With chairs, kendo sticks, tables, and steel steps all legal, there's no telling how far these two warriors will go to settle their score. The street fight is a perfect battleground for a rivalry that has always been about more than just wins and losses. It's about pride, dominance, and unfinished business. As WWE heads to Saudi Arabia, all eyes will be on this high-stakes collision. Will Ripley continue her reign of terror as women's world champion? Or will Raquel Rodriguez finally get her revenge and walk away with the gold? One thing is certain. When these two former allies step into the ring, fans should prepare for absolute mayhem. In a new twist leading up to Night of Champions, WWE officials confirmed that Dominic Mysterio and the Judgment Day will be banned from ringside during the Ripley versus Rodriguez street fight. This decision comes after weeks of outside interference affecting match outcomes. Without her backup, Ripley will have to rely solely on her own brutal instincts to survive. Meanwhile, Raquel Rodriguez has been spotted training with Roxanne Perez, teasing possible long-term alliance plans. Fans are speculating that Rodriguez's strategy may include weapons hidden under the ring, setting the stage for one of Ripley's toughest title defenses to date. Without her backup, Ripley will have to rely solely on her own brutal instincts to survive. Meanwhile, Raquel Rodriguez has been spotted training with Roxanne Perez, teasing possible long-term alliance plans. Fans are speculating that Rodriguez's strategy may include weapons hidden under the ring, setting the stage for one of Ripley's toughest title defenses to date.